Welcome back to 2CarGuys podcast. This is going to be a great adventure. We're going to talk about an adventure. We're going to talk about a lot of different things. Adam, guess we'll start with you, man. What'd you do this weekend?
Oh man, so I got to see some of my friends and folks at Caffeine and Octane. However,
Nice.
we had like the weirdest weather this weekend. I mean, Saturday was nice. Sunday was kind of like threat of rain, right? And
Right.
it was funny because like if you watch the radar, it looked like it was going to be fine, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you had like this torrential downpour. So
Yeah.
I woke up in the morning. There was no rain. It was dry. Got in the McLaren, went out to Cafe and Octane, and it
Nice.
was pretty dead in comparison. Remember when you and I went up there and it was
In
freezing cold?
January. Yeah. It
Yeah,
was absolutely freezing.
it was freezing
Yeah.
cold, and you and
Yeah.
Jessica were all like huddled up in the car.
Dude. Yeah.
Yeah, more people turned up for that than they did for
Wow.
this. Yeah.
Wow. So you're not the only one to tell me that was kind of dead. One of the guys from work actually went to Caffeine and Octane
Okay.
in one of the APR cars, and he said that they'd stayed very short time because it was just dead. There was not a lot of people there, and he was sick. I guess they ate something that was bad, him and his son, so they didn't
So
stay.
so Saturday morning, like early morning,
Yeah.
Hot Wheels had a car show slash I guess contest for the next Hot Wheels car
Okay.
out in like
Pretty cool.
Buford, so it was not close to where I was.
Right.
I didn't end up going to that because
Ah.
it was like 9 to 11 or something, but it was like an hour from the house.
Right.
They brought the majority, well, not the majority, they brought a few of those cars to Cafe and Octane. So I got
Okay.
to see a couple of cars that were already transformed into Hot Wheels cars, which was actually kind of cool. And then they had the Batmobile there. That was pretty cool. I've seen it before, but it's always cool to see it.
Absolutely. No, I saw some pictures of that, and I believe they had a car with like 2 V8 engines, right? Like,
They sure did.
oh, that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
the
that's
funny
sick.
thing is, I have that Hot Wheels Matchbox car, the Hot Wheels
Nice.
car, right?
Yeah.
And you'd think it would be just a car, like a
Right.
toy. You don't think that somebody would actually made up 2 V8s and stick them together
Just make it
on either
happen.
side of the car. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. No, that's
Yeah.
super cool, man. So we actually left Thursday and went to Impact in Texas.
Oh, that was
It's
at Coda, right?
It's at Coda. It's a 14-hour
Yeah.
drive. I thought when I signed up for this, it was a 7-hour drive. And then I thought, okay, I
Well, first
started
of
doing some
all,
math.
yeah, you should know math because it takes
And
more than 7 hours to get from Alabama to Texas.
right, well,
Second of
being that,
all, why did I think you were flying there?
oh yeah, no, I drove. I drove the X5M competition all the way,
Well,
full
that's not a
dined
bad
out.
place to be.
Hey, look, not a bad place to be, but let me explain this to you. No matter how nice the car is, on the 13th hour, you don't want to be in it anymore. And and I can tell you, so we took off on Thursday. We left around, I don't know, 6 a.m. or something like that. And
Yeah.
we're riding, and the weather was decent when we left the house. We got to Texas, and right around North Texas. We took the north route. You could take a north or a south route. We took the north route. And right around I can't think of the name of it. Waco, right around Waco, Texas, we had hit a storm, and
Oh,
it was bad. Couldn't see 3 foot in front of us. I'm driving this car
no.
to a car show, and I'm like, I'm gonna wreck this thing. Like, it's bad. And the car's hydroplaning, like all this stuff, and I'm just trying to keep it on the road. And
I mean,
you
it's got
know,
all-wheel drive. What were you doing?
it look, I'm telling you, when I say it was bad, I could see 3 foot in front of the car. I could barely see flashing lights from people putting their hazards on for whatever reason. And
Yep.
the windshield wipers are going 100 miles an hour. The Rain X on the window was doing nothing.
Yeah.
And I am just literally just trying to keep this thing on the road. And man, let me tell you, that's the worst storm I've ever driven through in my life. And I'm not in my car. So
Yeah.
at any point this goes off road, it's a $130,000 SUV. And I'm just like,
At
this is going
any
to be
point.
fun. At any
Yep.
point when it goes off the road, like, I'm going to be the one paying for this. Luckily, nothing happened. We got through that, and we continued on, and we got there about 9 o'clock at night, and I was just like, I am so done with this car. And the next morning, we got up, washed the cars, got them ready for the show, got to set up everything, got it ready. What the coolest part of this trip was, we're in the paddock where they would put the Formula One cars.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
So we were in paddock number 35, and I was trying to watch the highlights from Coda to see if so it's like the first paddock before you get onto the track. So I know that Formula One kind of sets it up where you if
The
you're
best
number
teams
one
first. Yep.
best
Yeah.
teams
So it would
first.
probably be Red Bulls, right?
Right. So that's what I was thinking. I'm like, I'm in Max Verstappen's pit. And I'm like, this is so sick. Right. Well, I don't know if that's true because I went back and watched the highlights, and it turns out that that's not necessarily the case. Formula One lets the number one team or the number one constructor from last year decide what pit they want.
Okay.
And wherever they pick, everybody else has the choice after them. And my understanding is in 2023, that would have been a Williams pit, not a not a Max Verstappen pit. But regardless, super cool. The show was amazing. The fact that what they did and how they did it was just awesome. And they had racing, they had a car show, they had drifting, and they had it all spread out and set up perfectly. And
so I think I saw something on YouTube. Was Shmee 150 there?
Yeah. Now I didn't see him.
Okay.
Obviously, I'm dealing with every customer in the world coming to the Diamond tent. And it was great, man. I got to meet a couple of our dealers, got to meet some really cool people that are just, big BMW enthusiasts. And we had 3 cars there, 3 of us there, plus my wife, Jessica, was there. She helped set up, helped clean the cars. She was a real trooper for the weekend, man. She went through that drive with me, and I was just like, man, I married a car girl.
Right. Yep. So I'll tell you this real quick. So the only time I've ever driven, and actually that storm, whatever storm it was, came through Atlanta around, I don't know, like 9:30. Because we decided we were going to go out to dinner and ended up in this like torrential downpour. It was crazy. But the only time I've ever like driven on the highway. So, I mean, this is like 3 or 4 years ago. A friend of mine and I went to Birmingham, to Barber, to Leeds, right? We went to Barber and we did a track day on the motorcycles. Yeah. And we, kind of wrapped up a little bit early because, we kind of saw some weather moving in, and he and I were like, yeah, we've done 5 out of 7 sessions today. We're good. Right. It looks like it might storm. So we packed up the tent, put everything in this trailer. I had a different trailer at the time, and he was in his own car with his motorcycle on the back. And so we go to leave Barber, and as soon as we leave, like we're driving past a couple of people we know, we're like, yeah, we're out of here, we're done. And they were like, where are you going? And I said, there's weather moving in, I'm out. Yeah. And they came back and a couple of people said that they were leaving too. And so we get on 20, we're heading home, and the bottom drops out. Right. I'm doing like 70 maybe on the like 65 on 20, pulling the trailer. Right. And thank God I was by myself, right? There was nobody on either side of me. Right. My friend was behind me, and I hit a dip in the road, and the trailer hydroplaned. And so the trailer lifted up, and I literally, like in my passenger mirror, I saw the trailer kind of wrap around, and I pumped the brakes a couple times and then just pulled out of it. And it happened in a split second. Yeah. And the trailer went right back behind the car. Like nothing happened. I pulled out of it like nothing happened. And my friend calls me up and he says, "Oh my God, that was the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life." I was like, "That was the worst thing I've ever seen."
Dude, you're driving down the road and you're like,
to just come wrapping around. It was terrible.
But you're driving down the road and you look in your mirror and you're like, that's my trailer.
Yeah, that was my first thought. And it happened so slow. My first thought was, is that my trailer?
Yeah. So the good thing was I had the X5M, but I had everything loaded in it for the show. And, so we'd hit stuff and the car was still pretty heavy. But I mean, at any point, man, that thing is a monster of a truck. With the tune and the exhaust and intake and everything, that thing it's a beast. And
so,
I'm going to tell you,
based on our last conversation, we're talking about an X5M, right?
Yeah.
So over the weekend, I went and found one that is local here and used. And of course, didn't have the Dynan tune on it, right?
Oh, we can fix that.
Yeah, right. So I get in this car, and just warning everybody who's listening to this, this is real first worldy in a second here. But I get in this car, and it's like stripped back. No cooled seats, no massaging seats, no adaptive cruise. There was a hole in the leather in the back
that
seat.
would have been a break for me.
Well, the
other stuff.
The center of the seat had like some sort of stain on it. You could tell it was like a water stain or something.
Yeah.
And it was not in great shape. And I was talking to the general manager, and he's like, "Oh, it's the cheapest one in the country, and we're passing the savings along." And I was like, "Yeah, there's a reason it's the cheapest one in the country. It's the most stripped back one I've ever seen." But I did drive it, and I will say it was a lot of fun to drive.
Dude,
that thing's quick.
I'll say this though, the seat, and I don't remember the 2020 being like this, because we had a 2020 X5M that I drove 14 hours one way to Impact in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And so I don't remember the 2020 being like this, but the seat had these, it's like shaped like this. And it's to give it like a more racy feel.
Yeah.
But I remember the 2020 having an adjustment in that. And I could kind of let it relax it and kind of tighten it and kind of make it more comfortable. On this one, it felt like they were just shoved right where my legs were over them. And I'm just like riding the whole way there with like 2 big pressure points on my legs.
Yeah, that's weird.
So
even
Jessica
my
even
X5
said it wasn't that comfortable.
has that, right?
Yeah.
Even my X5 has that, where like when you press the button for sport, it'll actually like hug you.
But there's an option to let it out on the bottom.
You can let it out,
seat bottom. And okay, so I'm not losing my mind. So the 2020 had it. The 23 or 4 that we have right now, the X5M comp, that we named Fiona, does not have it. And I tried every situation and button I could to try to make that thing more comfortable, dude. And it was just not that portion. Now, the back of the seat, I could get it to do everything. And it had, massaging, heating, cooling, all of that. And I'll be honest, man, all that stuff is fantastic.
First class. Yep.
It's first class. Now, I feel really bad for the other 2 guys because they drove the same trip. And one of them did it in an M240i, and he said it was actually pretty comfortable. But it had our exhaust, intake, all that stuff. But it, it's lowered, and it's, all that. It's a short, small car, and he's a bigger guy. And I was like, dude, you can take the X5M. And he's like, no, you got your wife, you take it. And I'm like, it's fine. We'll drive whatever. And he was like, no, it's cool. And he's the brand manager, so he could have definitely took it. But I appreciate you, Nathan. Appreciate you letting me take the X5M over one of those, because I'd be broken for another day or 2.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so that wasn't the only BMW I saw this weekend, right? So we're actually coming back from Caffeine and Octane. We came home, dropped the McLaren, actually jumped in one of the other cars and went out to lunch and passed one of the dealerships that's up street. And they always have like really random cars.
Right.
And they had a highlighter yellow BMW M4 comp.
Nice.
And the interior was like blue and yellow. And I never would have picked that. Like if I was speccing it, I wouldn't pick it. I mean, it's literally like this color. I don't know how to think about it. But I wouldn't have picked that. And when I saw it in combination with the car, it was actually pretty cool. So I saw that was there. Another car they had there was some kit car that had a Corvette engine in it. I'm telling
GTM.
you. Yes, I think
Factory
so.
5 GTM.
Yeah, the yellow one I sent you.
Yep.
So that car, it's too long and too wide for my garage. There's no way I'd have the end of it hanging out of it. It's huge.
I haven't seen one in person.
It's huge. And I was talking to the salesperson. He said he drove it and that it's when you get in it, it's really tight because it's like a capsule inside, you know?
Right.
So that was kind of interesting. And then they had a GT3 RS there that was really nice.
Okay.
And then what color? That dark blue with red wheels, red graphics. That was pretty cool.
Okay.
I did like that. And then they had a Land Rover Defender that had Hermes interior, had a brand new Corvette engine, had all this up. It was like a $500,000 Land Rover Defender, like original Defender. That was kind of like,
what dealership was this?
It's that Atlanta Autos. It's in Marietta.
Atlanta Autos. Gotcha. Yeah, cool.
So I was sitting there talking to the sales guy, and he's like, "Hold on a second, I got something I want to show you." And he's like, "You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it." And he goes out, comes back, and he's got a Grenadier.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I'd heard of them. I've seen them on, some of the stuff. I haven't gotten to see one in person.
Right.
And so this one was kind of stripped down. I think they wanted 80,000 for it. It was kind of stripped down. It was missing a handful of buttons. But when you get in it, John, it's like they have just this whole center section of buttons. It feels like an airplane. And then on the roof, you have switches and buttons and all kinds of stuff on the roof. It also tells you on the roof the width and the height of the car. So if you're going somewhere and you think you can't get in, you can just look up and see, right? It has a wade mode, so you can wade through water. And it's got, sway bar disconnect and all this other stuff. But the coolest thing about this whole car, and I absolutely love it, the steering wheel. And I kind of wish that we had recorded me being in the car. It would have made for fantastic content. I had no idea. I didn't know that I was going to react this way.
Right.
So get in the car. On the steering wheel, on the right-hand side, is a red button with a bicycle on it, and it says toot. And it's like a courtesy horn for pedestrians, right? Toot. So you give the guy on the bicycle a little toot, get out of your way, or you give somebody that's across the street a little toot, get out of your way. So it's funny. We ended up driving this car, and I'm having a blast driving it. Now, I will say there's a lot of this when you're driving it, like you're constantly, you kind of feel like you're driving a bus. There's a lot of, rotating the wheel. Yeah. But we were driving the car, and I said to the sales guy who's sitting in the back seat, I said, I like the car a lot, but I would need to upgrade the horn. And he goes, I think there's a regular horn on it. And I look in the middle of the steering wheel, and there's another horn, and you hit it, and it's serious. It's much, much louder. So the other one is a secondary horn that is just for pedestrians. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. I absolutely love it.
So your favorite thing on an $80,000 vehicle is the toot button.
Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. Part of me is still a 12-year-old.
We're all just big kids here.
It was the funniest thing. But we checked out those cars. That was a lot of fun. I don't know if I sent you the picture of it, but I'm going to show everybody. I don't know what it is about that car, but I found one of, if not the coolest McLaren 750s I've ever seen in my life. It was an MSO purple Spider with purple and black interior. And it wouldn't be one that I would, again, it's not something I'd spec out, but I'd own that car in a heartbeat. It was so freaking cool. It came out really, really well. So I was a big fan, but I went to go pick up the Aston today because I put in CarPlay, sent you a picture of that. And there was a 620R up there.
Oh, I didn't know that was at Motor Cars.
Yeah, so there's a 620R up at Motor Cars in blue. I think it's up there for service. And then Quavo's Lamborghini was up there.
Nice.
And I was like, okay. So
yeah, it's a good day.
It was pretty cool. Sometimes seeing those cars are just as much fun, kind of in the wild, right?
Absolutely, man. That's I think we're all big kids at heart, man. We just want to see our favorite cars out on the road.
Yeah. So, and I don't know if you have the same feeling, but sometimes when I see people that are in cool cars and I'm in my X5, I want to be like, "Oh, I have a cool car. Like I want to, like
It's
we should
my
be friends."
friends.
Right?
Hey, friends.
But then when I'm in a cool car, right, and I see somebody who's also in a cool car, I just want to talk to them. I want to find out, hey man, how long have you had the car? What made you get that car? That sort of thing,
Yeah.
right? Which is one of the reasons I like Caffeine and Octane, is because you get to go up there and chat with different people and everything. But I'll tell you, when we got up there, so we got up there late because I wasn't going to go.
Right.
And then we pulled in the exotics lot. It was pretty packed. We backed into one of the spots and we left early. We left about 11:30, somewhere around there. And we still got caught in the rain on the way home. So
that sucks.
yeah, it wasn't great, but at the same time, like that car's got Cup 2s on it. So if somebody spits on the road, you kind of want to slow down anyway.
Yeah.
But we made it home. It was fine.
That's good, man. Yeah, no, that's awesome. We we made it back as well, no problems. The X5M was great. Other than that, I mean, the trip was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm still sore. My back is still not fully recovered from the trip, but that's on me. I don't think that's the car's fault at this point.
But yeah, you got back from the trip and jumped right in the 370Z and been bobbing around in that like a 20-year-old.
Dude, yeah, man, I've been driving it around a lot, man. Like, I'll be honest, like every other car is just kind of chilled, and I have been driving the crap out of the little 370, dude, and I'm loving every minute of it.
Now it's manual, right?
It's manual. Yeah, it's got the synchro rev
I'd be
match,
driving.
so
I'd
you'd
be
like
driving.
drop the gear, and it's just fun to bob around town. I did buy the Nismo exhaust like axle back because it came stock with Nismo exhaust, and I don't remember what the Nismo exhaust sounds like, so I just kind of want to experience it. So I bought the axle back, and I'm gonna put it back to stock basically, and see if I like that better. And if I do, I'm just gonna keep it that way. If I don't, I'm gonna put it's got like an aftermarket like axle back on it.
Okay.
And it kind of gives it like a true dual, but it's a little louder than look, man, I'm older. Like young me would have been like, this is the best sounding car ever. And old me's like, hey man, maybe not so loud, maybe just a little bit quieter.
Maybe a little less drone going down the street.
Yeah. But I mean, when you push on it, it goes. When you like are just banging down the gears, it rev matches on the way down. And so, it's so easy to drive, so fun. And I just really enjoy it, man. Like super cool car. Yeah, it's been great. To be honest, I'm working on fixing all the little things. Obviously it's got some little stuff. Like today I had the whole back trunk apart, and I ended up finding all the things I needed to fix it in it. So I was like, when?
That's awesome.
Like, yeah. So yeah, things have been good, man.
Well, I mean, I'm slacking over here, man. I need to go and get some sort of small JDM manual transmission car, so we can.
It doesn't even have to be a JDM, just a little manual something. Heck, you know what would be a perfect car for you? It's like an M240i, like an M240i in a manual. Yes, do it.
You say that. So when we were at the show, we saw when we were at Caffeine and Octane. I took a couple pictures. And I think I put them on our Instagram of a couple of the M cars that were at the at Caffeine and Octane.
Yeah.
And we saw a new M, the M2.
Yeah, the M2's awesome.
I don't know what it is about that car, but I like the flared wheel wells. I love this one had a carbon roof. I thought that was super cool. And then I was in the car on the way home and we were sitting there talking about, I really like the M2 and I think it's such a great car. And I said, I really should have got that purple one. And we pulled up to the intersection of Bells Ferry and 92, and what comes rolling up but a purple M2. And I was like, oh my God, there it is.
Dude,
that guy bought it.
I actually like the blue that's on our M2 from work. I just, there's things I would change as far as the spec goes. But our exhaust on it sounds great. The car's great. The M2 is awesome. In all honesty, though, the sad thing is, I actually like that car in an automatic. I don't know why.
I've heard that.
I don't know why. I do like it in an automatic.
I've heard that there were a couple
transmission's
people
good.
have said that they like that car in an automatic. So
Yeah, and and they say the gears are real tall. It's just like the GT4s. Like everybody with a Porsche tells me that you don't want the manual GT4,
you want the
but
PDK.
they've never driven a Viper because the Viper's probably got the tallest gears of cars I've ever had that I've driven, and I can do everything.
Let's just get that V10.
Look, first gear is like all of the speed limit. Second gear is I'm breaking the speed limit. Third gear is I'm going to jail. Fourth gear is I don't know what's happening now. We're going into space. that's the Viper if you want me to sum it up for you.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
you need that Viper T-shirt that I found this weekend,
dude. Yes.
Yeah,
so I actually saw a 370Z T-shirt, and I asked my wife. I said, "Is this too much?"
And she's like, "Yeah."
She's like, yeah, you're trying to relive your 20s. Yeah. And then like tonight we took the car out and we were listening to like all of Eminem's music. You know, he just dropped a new song and all that stuff. So we were listening to like I've got it on like Pandora Eminem radio.
Oh.
And dude, it's like all the old stuff. And you're just like, I mean, it was good. We had a great time. I really enjoyed it.
Throwback to the 90s.
Dude, yeah, man. That was fun. But yeah.
So and we'll wrap it up here real quick. So this weekend, big weekend, right? So we've got some car stuff going on this weekend, but it is F1 weekend.
Yep. Heading to Canada.
Right.
Yes, sir.
So one of the things that nobody's talking about right now, and I think is kind of interesting is, everybody was complaining the last couple of years that F1 had gotten boring because Max was winning all the races, right?
Yeah.
We've had 4 different winners in 6 different races, right? So you can't really complain that it's getting boring because you had Lando and Leclerc and Sainz and so it's definitely a more interesting season. There are a lot of people predicting that because of the struggles that Red Bull has had in the corners and some of these other tracks, that they won't win in Canada.
But they just resurfaced the track.
Yep.
Which is in their favor because the track was real bumpy before. So they said that was a problem. They had to run softer suspension settings. So they resurfaced the track and changed all the curbs. So all of those things are in Red Bull's favor.
We'll see. So here's the other thing that nobody's talking about is if Ferrari finishes ahead of Red Bull, there's a chance that Ferrari could be first in the Constructors' Championship.
That's correct. So we're really close this year. The best part about this year, man, is it's been really close. Everybody wants that.
The best part, yeah.
And I love it, man. I love that Red Bull's not running away with it. We've actually got a pretty good season going. We've had multiple winners. The drivers' market's flipped on its head. So everybody, just so you know, Perez just signed his contract extension. So that's big.
He did. So that was interesting because it did. But why that was interesting was because they offered him a 1 year. He came back and said 3 year. They came back and said no. Right?
No, they gave him 2.
That's what I'm saying. So they came back and said no. So there was like a hiatus point at the last race in Monaco where he countered and said 3. And so they came back and said no. And so it kind of started the conversation. So they landed on 2, right? Which is good for him.
Yeah. No, that's great.
I think there's still a lot of rumors about whether or not Max will stay. Whether or not Max will follow the engine and end up somewhere else, right?
I don't see him leaving, man.
I don't. I mean, I don't see him
everything
leaving either.
I've seen, and I'll probably eat these words, but everything I've seen and everything he said, that's his team. He doesn't want to leave them. So
I don't know, man. He was saying the way he was talking in Miami, it really felt like he kind of finished this chapter in his life. The things he was saying in Miami, it was almost like
things for years though.
Yeah, but he was talking about wanting to race in other things.
He said that for many years. That's not.
So
that's
who
not
knows?
anything.
Maybe it happens, right? If he doesn't win the championship this year, maybe he goes somewhere else. Who knows? And then Esteban Ocon.
Yeah. Oh boy. Hey man, they were upset with him after Monaco.
I know they were.
They were truly upset with him, and I didn't think he'd be racing in Canada. Nobody did. And then he's going to get to drive in Canada, but he's done, man. Alpine has dropped him, but I just watched an interview right before this that was talking about, talking to Esteban and talking about, what his plans are, I guess. And he said he'll release everything when everything's finalized. So I think he's got another seat coming. It's not going to be with Alpine though.
No. And I'll tell you what, you
probably
can't,
a Haas. That's my guess.
That might be the worst driver pairing I've ever seen in my life. I mean, the two of them do not get along. They have a terrible time, just on track together. I almost want to say they have probably more inter-team accidents than any other team that we've seen in a long time.
It reminds me of the Haas back like 2018, 19.
Yeah.
When they were both just banging wheels and fighting each other, and it was Max, or it was K-Mag and Grosjean, and they were just banging wheels. And K-Mag said then, like, I'm never gonna let out of it. I am not scared to keep going. I will wreck the car. And that hasn't changed.
So what's the over under on K-Mag getting suspended for a few races?
It's coming. It only takes 2 more points on his driver's license.
Yeah.
2 more points, dude, and he's getting suspended. So if they follow the actual rules, that's why a lot of the times when they say that was a racing incident, I question that, because I'm like, no, they don't want to suspend a driver for a race.
They're going to suspend him. We'll see.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so I'm looking forward to it. It should be a good race.
Yeah.
I think that we need to, start paying more attention, as a group of Formula One fans, start paying more attention, right? Because I think the drama's back. I think the excitement is back. Now we're seeing, a lot of stuff. I mean, we've got a couple firsts this year, right? You had Lando's first win. You had the, Leclerc's first victory at Monaco. So all that stuff's awesome.
It's great, man. I love to see it.
Yep, more to come. But everybody who's listening, we do have rain this weekend, so we'll see. But everybody who's listening, thank you so much for the last couple of videos, for liking and sharing and subscribing to the channel. We have, we got a record number of subs this last couple of weeks, and we've had some really good videos. So, we love it. And help us, tell us what you guys like to hear about, and we'll talk more about that stuff too, and we'll share pictures and experiences and all that good stuff.
Absolutely.
So thanks everybody, we appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe, send it to your friends, let us know, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Push that button, microwave oven. See y'all later.
See ya.